I'd like to talk to you also tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning if that's okay, Rasika.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, a few things to talk about. Maybe you got a message or not. Got it. Okay, we're ready to go. Vishnu Padai, Krishna Prestaya, Uttame, Vimate, Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Karana Srimasade, Odalata Vrinda, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Karada Shivasade, Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare. Kunjabi Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare. Radha Madhava Gopi Janabalabha Devarhari Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Janabalabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Nandana Prajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Ramona Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Oh Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Shamasundar ki jai. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Harinama Sankirtan ki. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Shri Kartika Vrata ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental International Society for Krishna Consciousness ki jai. Gaura Premanandi, O glorious assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vicharine Nivasesha Sunimati Pastachade Shatarine. Hare Krishna. Welcome to everyone who is online. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, everybody. We're happy to see Vaishnav Kripa Prabhu moving around a little bit again. I hope his health is just walking around there. And please say a devotional prayer for me, Hi Prabhu, who's going in for some serious surgeries online in very shortly, maybe in a few weeks. And anyone else who's we're all facing trials and tribulations. Some are more obvious, but we're all facing them in reality. We're still on the bodily platform of life. We're still attached to this material world. We still have material desires. We still have our token reactions, and so on and so forth. And our devotional, let's say, application is not as deep and probably not as sincere as it could be or should be, and what we would like it to be. So whatever it is, we all have our, opportunities, let's say. Opportunities for improvement, opportunities to surrender. Surrender being a key word in this case. You could say from Bhagavad Gita, anywhere we find surrendering is very much emphasizes. What does it mean? Surrendering our false ego, and the false ego means identification with this body and everything else that comes from there. This idea of seeing oneself in the center, seeing oneself separated from Krishna, being attached to one's mundane, let's say, so-called intellectual perspective, and so on and so forth. Everything which is not pleasing to Krishna, basically speaking. All of this can become pleasing to Krishna when we learn the art of connecting it with Krishna for his pleasure, and not trying to use Krishna for our pleasure. Krishna give me this, Krishna give me that, Krishna solve this, Krishna solve that, and so on. It's not a business and bargain arrangement. This is actually something which is barely appreciated or understood clearly in this world, although an element of that is there. But the real depth of unalloyed, pure devotional service is not to be experienced in this material world in its true essence. But it is the objective, practically speaking, of devotional service, pure, unalloyed love for Krishna. This is our, whatever comes after that. But this is our goal, as we see in the beautiful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on the banks of the Kaveri River at Kovur, and he's discussing with Sri Ramananda Roy, and amongst their discussions is the ever-spiraling inspiring and spiraling, which means ever-increasing, discussion on the highest perfection of existence. Within this material world, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking him, What is how one can achieve perfection in this life? What is that? And Ramananda Roy goes through different stages, quoting Shastra. He wasn't just speculating, he was simply quoting from Shastra. What the highest perfection and how to obtain it, basically how to obtain the highest perfection. He went through Varnashram, through, renunciation in knowledge, devotional service in a conditional form, different stages he went through, all the way up. Even surrendering on a certain stage, surrendering, you could say, in terms of surrendering what we have in the service of Krishna, Yat Karushi, Yat Ashnasi, Yat Jahosi, Dadasya. All good, Lord Chaitanya said, but say more. This is definitely on the past, but it's not that which will cause the actual real transformation from, let's say, still seeing, just like we have the pastime of Bali Maharaj, how he's famous as Atmani Vedana, one who surrenders everything to Krishna, but he still had a misconception of thinking he had something to surrender. I am doing it. I am fulfilling my promise. I am giving everything to Krishna. Well, that's still within the realm of, you could say, the phenomenal world to a certain extent, although it's connecting with Krishna. It's not yet transcendental in its full extent. When we realize everything is Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna, giving up the very idea we have something to give to the Lord. Oh, we don't really have anything to give to the Lord. We are belonging to the Lord. It's just a matter of recognizing I exist for his pleasure only. And so does everything else. So this very mood. And then the real turning point was when Ramananda Roy quoted a verse of Lord Brahma, Gane Payasam Udapastanamandeeva. Beautiful verse from the 10th canto. Maybe someone can look it up, who's got access on the spot to these verses. 10th canto. Gane Payasam Udapastanamandeeva. We can share it if you can, if someone can do that. Rasikananda Prabhu can do that sort of thing. On the screen, it's a very significant verse. And Lord Chaitanya said, yes, this is the truth. This is how you attain the highest perfection. Now, after that, of course, he goes into what that highest perfection is. And that's where the real nectar begins. Up to that point, we're just climbing the ladder, you could say. Climbing the ladder isn't, well, it can be joyful. It's very joyful when you realize you're coming towards the end. It's not really the end, but it looks like, with a beginning, in this case, the beginning of pure devotional service. What keeps us going is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mercy of the pure devotees who are with us on that journey, and chanting, singing as we go, singing and dancing as we go up the ladder, pretty far out. This is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You don't have to cling on. We just hold on. What we do, we hold on to the Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names, and Lord Chaitanya protects us and does all the rest. Have you found that verse yet? Can we share it on the screen? Gane, here it comes. Thank you. In the Veda base, if you don't have the Veda base, you might like to get it. It is in English. I don't know if it's available in any other language, but it's certainly in English. And on there, you can find all of Srila Prabhupada's writings. You can search for whatever you want. You can make notes. You can do all sorts of marvelous things to help enhance their little tender creepers of devotion. Highly recommend it. It's far better than, the one on, this is the database, which may be coming through on the phone, but the actual database itself is far more, let's say, flexible, and you can do many things. Really nice. So this is a great verse. Gyane prayasamudapasya namanta eva. This is not, by the way, the verse we're going to be studying today. I'll chant Om Namo first anyway. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnane prayasam utapasya namante eva. Jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiyavatam. Stane stita sutikatam tanuvan manobir. Ye prayasho jitajito pyasitais trilokyam. Great. On to the translation. And this is spoken by Lord Brahma. At first sight, you may not quite catch it. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, words, and mind offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees. Certainly, they conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. Amazing, huh? What can we say? We are on some stage on the ladder. I hope somewhere on that ladder going towards this, say, pure devotional service. And it might not be quite clarified here. This especially infers that one has the opportunity to associate with those who are disseminating. It's just like that verse of the gopis, isn't it? Kavakatam mitam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kamashapaham shravana mangalam shrimaratatam bhuvivinantiye burida janaha. Most famous verse of the Gopi Gita, spoken by the Radharani, by the gopis, separation from Krishna. World, the only panacea is to hear topics spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. Such subject matter should be spread widely throughout the world. This is the greatest wealth. Those who are taking this message and distributing it all over the world are the greatest welfare workers. And when we receive this, Nivritatarshu Pagiyamanad Bhavoshiti Chotamano Biramat Kutama Shloka Gunan. When we hear these Uttama Shlokas, these glorifications of the Supreme Lord from the Nivritatarsha, those who are freed of all material affinity, or material misconceptions, etc. Those who are free of the false ego, then the result is Vavushiti Chotamanobi Ramat, that the heart becomes purified. So the secret is to have this good fortune to hear this transcendental message from it. You can turn that off now. I was just going to read the verse. That's it. We're finished with that one. Those who have the great good fortune to hear this message from the pure source coming down from the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna, that saffron dust at Krishna's lotus feet permeates through the layers of material existence by the voice, the sound vibration. Must we sing in the morning? Every morning, Guru Vandana. How does that verse go? Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chite Te Koriya Ekya Ana Koriya Asha Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chite Te Koriya Ekya Ana Koriya Asha. May my consciousness be purified by the words emanating from your lotus mouth. This is how we become purified, hearing the words of pure devotees of the Lord. Is the, what can we say? Is the only, is the ultimate process. There are other processes which may qualify us to come to that point. Of course, the whole Vedic system is geared for that. But to that transformation of when we really get that, the turning point, pivot between matter and spirit, when we get that opportunity to associate with the pure devotees of the Lord. I'm here for them, submissively, not challengingly. That may take a long time before we break down, give up our false egos, but submissively hearing, just drinking in the nectar of the words. Yes, by oral, it's said that we drink that nectar through the ears, through oral reception. It's not, we may drink some nectar, some amrit through our mouths, physically speaking. That's very nice, perhaps, from a taste point of view. But from the transcendental point of view, we drink through the ears. We drink that subject matter emanating from the lotus mouth of the pure devotees of the Lord. So opportunity calls, such a good fortune. We used to be a television program, Opportunity Knocks. This is really, when we were kids, that was to do with material opportunities, but that's not what we're talking about here. The pure devotees are not giving us material opportunities. They're not here to make our material lives successful, to fill our material desires. To some extent, in the neophyte stage, it would appear that that might be part of the process, but it's not the real purpose at all. It's to sever this knot, which we've been hearing in our second canto of the Bhagavatam, this Granthanabandhanam, Chindanti Kovidas Tasya Kona Kuryat Kataratim, and how to cut that knot, of material attachment, the karma Granthanabandhanam, how to that bondage of this material existence, which we're so accustomed to, which we're identifying with, we don't want to let it go, even practically speaking. When it comes down to it, we tend to be a little attached. So that process is there. Yadana jasina yukta karma granthanabandhanam chindanti cut. Chindanti kovidas tasya kona kuryat kataratim. That knot can be cut by this process of remembering the personality of Godhead. And how do we remember? When we're reminded by the pure devotees, they are constantly reminding us of Krishna, chanting his names, glorifying his pastimes form, and giving the process whereby we can realize that this is the essence of life. It's not just to become in the eyes of relativity, a good devotee who does this and does that and follows principles. All preparation good, but that's not the goal. The goal is to actually be absorbed, wanting to be absorbed, relishing to hear topics concerning Krishna. It takes time, especially in institutional situations, which we're in, where a lot of our energy is spent in either, directly, so you could say, institutional adjustments for various, hopefully positive reasons, absorbed in a particular activity within the institution, whatever it may be. It's all good and it's all purifying. But the result of all of this is that we should be developing an attraction for the transcendental sound vibration. Just days ago, in honor to be present on the glorious remembrance of Srila Prabhupada and his Tirobhav Mahamahotsav. And several devotees said that they sometimes feel like they're just treading water. We're not going deep. We're doing things, and that's all good also, by the way. It's not that there's no progress. It may appear that it's not, and that's not a bad realization or say understood perspective. To think that I am making advancement can be sometimes misunderstood. What it means to make advance. We haven't got time to get into the depth of that today. But in terms of, that feeling, is this something? And sometimes we tend to blame the institution. Sometimes we tend to blame others. But the real point is we have to look inside. Is there something? And this is the whole, you say, arrangement of the Lord. These things go on to help us to look a little deeper. Now, is there something I'm holding on to inside? Is there something I'm hiding? Is there something, or whatever it may be? And I'm surrendering. I'm holding pride, maybe some envy of someone, maybe a feeling of, say, animosity towards somebody or something, maybe some doubts in the philosophy, whatever it is. Maybe I want to get praised. So many subtle, sometimes gross, but there's even subtle, so many things are there in our hearts when we look deep. How attentive are we? How sincere, how serious are we when we associate with Radha and Krishna in the Nam, form of Nam? How sincere are we? Are we just doing it as like a machine? Are we not even keeping record? Are we just mechanically chanting? Are we praying? Is our heart, of course it won't be at this stage perhaps, are we actually crying either in, say, lamentation over our, lack of any love or devotion whatsoever, and the fact that we're still attached to so many mundane things? Probably not. Sometimes it may come when we sincerely try to embrace the holy name. Just take shelter of the holy name of Krishna, coming from the lips of the pure devotee of the Lord. Hold on. Krishna sees their hearts. He sees their intentions. A relationship starts to develop beyond just theory, beyond just hope, beyond just mechanics, beyond just institutional practices, etc., etc. And we start to realize we do have a relationship with Krishna by the mercy of Krishna's pure representative. The institution of ISKCON's only purpose is to try to awaken this relationship. You could say on the practical level, it has many other purposes and many other objectives, but that's the whole goal behind all of them. Behind Food for Life, behind schools, behind farming, restaurants, self-sufficiency, book distribution, temple deity worship, managerial structures, Namahata programs, restaurants, you name it. Purpose behind all of this is to facilitate the awakening of our unalloyed pure devotion for Krishna. Develop that relationship step by step. At this stage, through the pure devotee, we relate to Krishna through the pure devotee who gives us instructions which are beneficial for our own growth and for the awakening of Krishna consciousness in others. At a very, whatever stage, it might be a very preliminary stage, or mature stage, whatever it is. The whole system is not to block us. See in this world, philosophy or mundane philosophy and so on and so forth, tends to block progress. One comes to a certain stage, certain level, and that's it. There's nothing. You just have to carry on believing. With maybe, of course, by Krishna's grace, everything is possible, but in most cases, no genuine realization. I'm not the body. I'm eternally spirit soul. I'm an eternal love. I have a loving relationship with Godhead. Very rare that this actually evolves. Most people get blocked, and they're systematically blocked by the institution. And we also have to be careful. Blocking our growth. I mean, in the practicing stage, for Vaishnava, at least Gaudiya Vaishnava, the goal is not just to be a good sadhaka in terms of Vaidhi Bhakti. That should be there, but that's not the goal. The goal is to actually develop spontaneous attraction for loving service to Krishna. And spontaneous attraction for Krishna, not even just the service, but to Krishna himself, as one's life and soul. Nothing else of any importance. And that takes, of course, pure heart. It doesn't develop in an impure heart. So imitation is not it's the Hajya mentality that the heart is impure and we're trying to put on a false idea that I'm spontaneously attracted to pure devotional service and I don't need to follow rules anymore. That type of approach is very displeasing to the Lord. One has to be eligible, but we should realize that that is a growth on the path of sadhana bhakti. Unless we take deeply the service and the devotion which we've been given, and the association of Sangha, the hearing and chanting of Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures and the holy name in from the right source in the devotees' association, and fervently pray that their heart will become cleansed, purified, attraction, genuine attraction for hearing and chanting. That ruchi comes after nishta, which means the heart is already cleansed of anartha. A ruchi doesn't come. You get sort of, what to say, circumstantial degrees of that ruchi in the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti. Some circumstances which happen to be divine mercy of the Lord, really, but they may be compatible to one's particular nature, one's particular situation, and it creates very much a feeling of intense pleasure, intense satisfaction, but it's not a permanent state. It depends on circumstances. And then the next day we find ourselves a little bit in a different mode, and we're not quite feeling that same ecstasy. But that's part of the anishtita. It's called anishtita sadhana bhakti, the unsteady stage of devotional service. By our devotion, our practice has become nishta sadhana bhakti. And that stage when it becomes steady. Initiation, by the way, is meant to establish steadiness, and it does. Nishta, you chant 16 rounds regularly, sincerely, seriously, regulated principles, certain sadhanas. It's nishta, but it takes a time. That nishta is not the pure nishta. There are still, let's say, clouds in the sky which we're still inclined towards in our consciousness. There's still desires that are still lingering, and we still have some affection for them. We're still attached to families and so on and so forth. We're still identifying with this body in so many ways. These are anarthas, but by steady, properly processed, properly following the steady process of Vaidhi Bhakti, those anarthas can be evaporated or dissolved or removed from our consciousness. And one comes to the real nishta path. When our sadhana is nishta, then our consciousness can become nishta. And when the consciousness becomes steady, fixed, in this word it's stani, stita stani, steady. When we become steady, then it's not like it's automatic, but in that steady state, one can become a mayavadi. So, or one may develop, make him steady in one's ritualistic worship also. One may be aishvarya. Aishvarya means regular, it's like opulence, worshipping awe and reverence. Many devotees are in that mood, but that's not the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's giving. It's not to be appreciated, but it's not the real thing which he's giving. He's giving the mood of the madhurya, of the highest intimate, loving relationship with the Lord, not just the reverential aspect, which is a mixture of neutrality and servitude, but the highest, any level of intimacy with the Lord. The mood of Raganuga Bhakti develops. This is the preliminary stage of that also, when one becomes spontaneously attracted to particular pastimes and so on, qualities and so on like that. But that's the higher stage. And then in the association of the ragatmikas, those who have that natural affection for the Lord in that stage, one then naturally is attracted to them, one then serves them and develops a genuine, pure mood of in that particular relationship. So at our stage, we're serving such a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas. What their relationship is, we don't get into that, but we do know one thing, that they're giving us that which is relevant in our present conditioned state, so that we can evolve, we can grow in our spiritual lives to the higher rungs of the ladder, and eventually come to this platform when we have that spontaneous attraction to hear and chant the glorious pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every word, every syllable becomes like nectar, I guess you could say. That's what we hear anyway. Okay, Hare Krishna. We'll just briefly read today's verse. Which verse is it today?
I believe it's 1.2.22.
That's what I thought. Okay, Gurani, beautiful. 1-2-22. We'll read on the screen. It'll come up in a few seconds. Are we there? This is one of the, this is in sense, we've now gone through a stage. We heard about the knots being cut to pieces last week. That same word was a chijante. In last week's verse, we didn't go into the verse, it means cut to pieces. Chijante, sarva shangshaya, all misgivings, cut to pieces. The heart, the knots are pierced, is hritaya grunti. Chain of fruit of activity is terminated when one sees the Supreme. Now, in the original translation, the word which was mentioned there, and it's small in this translation, but it's often big. It refers to the Supreme Master. From the relative point of view, it refers to the individual soul as the master. We forget the soul. We're denying the soul. We think the mind is the master. The desires are the master. We identify ourselves with that which we're not. This is falsity. We don't know who the real master within the body is. The jiva is not the ultimate master, but he is somewhat an Ishvara. But we've forgotten. And we're just chasing after the reflection all the time, not the reality. So when we realize that the soul is above this material plane, the material body, as we read in Bhagavad Gita, the soul is higher than intellect, higher than the false ego, higher than the mind, than the sense objects, and so on. But we don't know that. We forget it. In fact, we're controlled by the sense objects. Practically, the sense objects are the controller of our journey. And when the soul takes control, then that's not the case anymore. The body, mind, everything comes under control. He's the master. But the ultimate master is the Supreme Being. So we'll read today's text 22. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhakting paramaya muda vasudeve bhagavati kurvanchatma pasadanim. Together. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhakting paramaya muda vasudeve bhagavati kurvanchatma pasadinam. Let's have a quick look at the word for word there, please. Ataha is therefore, vai certainly, kavayaha. This word, all transcendentalists. Kavi is not always understood, but in this case, kavaya, all transcendentalists, nityam, from time immemorial or eternally. Bhaktim, service unto the Lord. Paramaya, supreme. Muda, that's not muda like in fool. It's a different word. Muda, with great delight. Vasudeve, Sri Krishna. Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead. Kurvanti, to render. Atma, self. Prasadanim, that which enlivens. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation and prayer put by Srila Prabhupada. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, eternally, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. Okay, that's the purport. It's not particularly long, so that's good. The speciality of devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is specifically mentioned here. Lord Sri Krishna is the Svayam Rupa, personality of Godhead, and all other forms of Godhead, beginning from Sri Baladev, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Narayan, and extending to the Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela, Yuga avatars, and many other thousands of manifestations of the personality of Godhead, are Lord Sri Krishna's plenary portions and integrated parts. The living entities are separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of Godhead, and he is the last word in the transcendence, eternal. Thus, he is more attractive to the higher transcendentalists who participate in the eternal pastimes of the Lord. Those who are lower transcendentalists may be attracted to other forms of the Lord, or Vishnu in this, maybe some of the expansive forms of Lord, especially like Lord Ramchandra, which is wonderful, but it's not the actual summum bonum exactly. It's not the original form of Godhead. Krishna is the last word. You could go even further, you could say, in a sense, Radharani, but that's inseparable from Krishna. Radha Krishna are the last words in transcendence. But many people are attracted to other aspects of the app, other forms, expansions in the material world. We're attracted to the parts and parcels, the living entities, not even to the form of God. Well, indirectly, very, very indirectly, you could say that is also an expansion, but it's devoid of the real nature of the living entity and its relationship with Godhead. So it keeps us in this world of forgetfulness, seeing ourselves as the enjoyer. In forms of the personality of Godhead other than Sri Krishna and Baladev, there is no facility for intimate personal contact as in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord of Braja Bhumi. Now, this is referring to the intimacy of Vatsalya Bhav, Sakya Bhav, Madhurya Bhav, like that. You may have Dasya Bhav or neutrality, Shanta. That may be there, but not the intimacy of Braj. It's not there. Even in Ram Lila, you may be what level can you come to besides servant? Very rare that you can go beyond that. And there, you could say the Acharya, that plane is Hanuman, the perfection of service mood. How can you become the mother of Ram or have a motherly relationship with Ram? Maybe you could become a nurse. It may be possible, but you don't hear about it. The transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna are not newly accepted, as argued by some less intelligent persons. His pastimes are eternal and are manifested in due course once in a day of Brahmaji, as the sun rises on the eastern horizon at the end every 24 hours. Once in a day of Brahma. Okay, well, I think that's the end of the purport. We can go back to the general screen. Imagine how lucky we are. Prabhupada gave the example one time. It's like in a great ocean, Pacific, I think is the biggest ocean that we know, the Pacific Ocean. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there happens to be a log of wood. And that log, floating in the ocean, has a hole in the middle. And there's one turtle swimming in the ocean. I do not know if turtles swim in the middle of the ocean, so it's just an example. There's a turtle swimming under the water, and it decides to come to the surface. One turtle in the whole Pacific Ocean. And just as that turtle comes up, its head goes right through the hole in that log of wood. And it wasn't a very big hole, by the way, just big enough for a turtle's head to go through. Now, what are the chances of that? Of course, one could give some even more remote examples, or examples which would make the chances almost impossible. Just like the chances of life coming from matter, if you're actually a scientist, you know how almost absolutely impossible for that to ever take place. Even one example. What to speak of constant examples. It's like 50 billion trillion to the power of 50 billion trillion or something like that. In other words, there is no question of it. Scientifically, it's impossible. But they're still bewildered. We're still, because it's the influence of Maya, simply influence of Maya, to make sure we become totally bewildered and never realize that we're not this body, because we don't want to. So there's all these philosophies and speculative science and all these speculative processes are geared towards this to keep us in complete ignorance. But this is so rare, the opportunity to meet a pure devotee of the Lord, or Krishna's appearance. Just imagine the day of Lord Brahma, 1,000 cycles, Chatavir, 1,000 of them, 14 manavas. In that day, 71 cycles in each day of Manu, each life of Manu. 1,000 Divya Yugas, so this 4 cycles of the various yugas, and they last a long time. Kali Yuga is almost inconceivable to us. 432,000 years. We're not even sure if the planet existed that long ago. We very limited, like a little baby doesn't understand time, doesn't understand dimensions, what's really going on, just understands how much time there is between one milk feeding and the next, and that's about it. We're about like that as far as our material knowledge goes in this Earth planet. So how to recognize that? How many days, how many years of our life is that in the day of Brahma? I can't, on the top of my head, work it out. 8,400,000,000 or something. I don't know. It's a long, long time. Incredible long time. Maybe that's one yuga cycle. But it's a tremendously long time, that's for sure. Beyond human imagination. And we have this once in that whole period of time, Lord Krishna appears on this planet to perform his pastime. And once during that time, after the appearance of Chaitanya, of Lord Krishna, he comes in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give what was not given at any other time in the whole day of Brahma to the fortunate souls of this earth planet, this highest form or highest opportunity to reach the highest point of transcendence. It's almost inconceivable, but it's there. And the Lord, previous to the Lord Chaitanya's appearance, even the pure devotees did not reveal this. It's only when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, then after that, the pure devotees, then they began a little bit before with Madhavendra Puri and Ishvara Puri, but only the beginning, and not generally distributed. Lord Chaitanya distributed. He gave it through the Sankirtan movement. He inaugurated the Sankirtan movement to inundate the world in love of God. We may not appreciate it right now, we may not see it, but this Sankirtan movement, going out and chanting, dancing, engaging others in chanting and dancing, even if they just wave or see they're being engaged, is the greatest welfare work. Not only is it just the Yuga Dharma, it's not just the Yuga Dharma, there's a Yuga Dharma in every Yuga, but this is the process whereby one can awaken this eternal or this opportunity for entering into eternal relationship with Krishna in the highest realm. It's the opportunity. We don't jump, but we do jump into the opportunity to perform this yajna. Everything else will come. The more we take shelter within the yajna of Sankirtan. Right now we're in this most wonderful, glorious, auspicious, ecstatic month of Kartik, and I'm sure we're all some degree taking some kind of advantage of this month, you could say. Yes, we do. In the sense, with the hope that we'll make some spiritual progress. Maybe it's just offering a lamp a day. A lamp a day keeps Maya away. You could say that. Or maybe we have a picture of Yasoda Damodar on our altar, and we sing the Damodar Ashtakam, or offer flowers to the picture, or a lamp to the picture of Yasoda Damodar. Or something else. Maybe we're chanting extra rounds. Maybe we're performing a little bit of restriction on our, let's say, our own personal sense gratification. That's not the best one. It's an increase in devotional practices rather than reducing material ones. They can go together. But the spiritual practices can be increased. More reading. Maybe we chant, something or another every day. Some prayers or something. Some little increase. And those who are in Vrindavan, I'm sure there's so many different, can't avoid it practically. Everyone there is turned up the temperature of devotion, and you're just naturally around it all the time. temple's packed with people chanting and dancing, and the kirtans are going on, and there's mass prasad distribution, and so on. So there's parikrama going everywhere. It's hundreds of thousands of devotees going on parikrama all the time. There's Bhagavat recitals, and so many things are going on all the time. It's just, exploding in Krishna consciousness. We may not be in that situation, so we try to do what we can. Our marathon here, let's say our Kartik Vrata here has been mostly focused on, you could say, Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. Not so much reading it, by the way. I haven't much. I haven't put much energy into reading, but it's mainly been trying to get the Bhagavatams. Srimad Bhagavatams, the first week, I think, of Kartik was spent on trying to get the Bhagavatams here to France. It was a big, as you may have heard already, I'm sure you have, it was a big, very exciting journey of bringing them here to France. They eventually arrived in the first week, or towards the end of the first week of Kartik. And the last 2 weeks have been busily engaged trying to distribute them. We haven't done many yet. We've done about 50 sets so far. And a lot of others have gone out to devotees who are also planning to distribute books or are distributing sets. But directly sold so far, about 50 sets have been distributed. We just have another 1,950 to go. And today, some sets are being delivered in Vrindavan to, not exactly sold, but being delivered in preparation for distribution to other countries. So widespread. Bhagavatam has to be spread widely. And starting, you could say, in our own hearts. We have to spread it in our own hearts. Coat our own hearts in Bhagavad Gita, the Samvra. This will then, as we hear from this verse, that transcendentalists from time immemorial have been relishing this message of Krishna conscious Bhagavad Gita, message of the personality of Godhead. And Bhagavatam does deal with all the stages, as we're reading in this chapter 2, the first canto, A to Z, practically speaking, at least maybe not to Z. It doesn't mention particularly much about the conjugal relationship. It's taking us more or less up to that point here, which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discussing with Ramananda Roy, that point of being absorbed in hearing and chanting, Shrinvatam Sukata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtan. So one's in the regulated practice of Nishtapreshu, Badrishu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. This practice of hearing and chanting in the association of devotees is the process which will awaken when the material illusions are destroyed practically to nil. Loving devotional service to the personality of Godhead as it begins to awaken within one's heart. And then one loses all interest in the effects of the three modes of nature. One is no more interested in any material ambition, achievement, success, failure, whatever it is, the duality. The world of duality no longer has any attraction whatsoever. One becomes fixed in one's devotion completely, and in that state, then the gates of pure love of Godhead begin to open. And for those who are actually transcendental, who come into this darkened world, they are, if not externally, internally, they are constantly engaged within. In their Tesham, was that verse? No, not Tesham. What's the one before it?
Machita Magat Pradana.
Thank you. Machita Bodhi Antak Parasuram. They're constantly engaged. They're constantly engaged in glorifying the personality of God, constantly, and relishing the topics amongst each other. They relish. We see the Goswamis, these topics. They also relish the topics related. For instance, the pastimes of Lord Nrsingadev, pastimes of even Dhruva Maharaj, or Krishna Garba, all these pastimes, they relish everything related to Krishna, whatever their position may be, whatever their goal may be, but they relish everything related to it. It's all relishable when one's on that plane of transcendence. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments? Please. There's a question already from Madhusevita Prabhu from Scotland. Should we celebrate and respect the period of Bhishma Panchaka? What did Srila Prabhupada instruct us about this? Nothing. Easy answer. Nothing. I don't know of any occasion where Prabhupada, and as I say, you're asking me, so maybe someone else has a different knowledge to share, but I have no remembrance whatsoever of ever hearing of this Bhishma Panchaka during Prabhupada's time. Certainly, I saw no indication of anyone following anything whatsoever. In fact, even during Kartik, save and except for offering a lamp and singing Damodar Astakam, our lives went on as normal. And Prabhupada did say that during Kartik, one time he said Kartik is for karmis. What that means is that the karmis, or the materialistic persons, are encouraged during this month to stop acting in such a sinful nonsense way and become a little bit Krishna conscious by performing some austerity, chanting the holy name, giving up meat, drinking liquor, smoking, whatever damn thing they're doing, tea, coffee, this, that, and the other, reading all this nonsense and so on and so forth, and try to make this month a little Krishna conscious. Greatly fortunate. For devotees, they take another advantage of this opportunity, golden opportunity to go deeper and more intensely into their devotion. But devotees, at least those who are living in the temple in those days, I mean, already 24/7 engaged in devotional service. We certainly didn't reduce what we were doing, book distribution or whatever. We simply try to add to that. As far as Bhishma Panchaka is concerned, yes, I've also done sometimes in my life, especially on Brajmandal Parikrama or some places which we've been during this period of time, some extra fasting. I've never done the full thing. Some devotees do this. I do not think that Srila Prabhupada would encourage it. And I don't know, he may not discourage it in certain cases. In Vrindavan, I know with some sannyasis and some senior devotees, Prabhupada did approve of their performing Chaturmas Vrat, especially for seniors, some senior devotees who are living in the Dham, but not at the expense of their service, or especially at the expense of their house. It doesn't mean I'm doing Chaturmasya, but I don't do my service. No. I'm fasting. I can't do this. No. I'm staying up all night. I can't go to the morning program. This is contrary to Srila Prabhupada's principle. So it should be addition, not in place of. So if one wants to do something during that period of time, there's plenty of advice what to do, but I don't personally recommend, generally speaking, maybe for some advanced Vaishnavas who are, isn't, what can you say? If Krishna's pleased by eating just cow dung once a day or whatever it is, 1 month, 1 day, and just drinking cow urine the next day, and just taking yogurt the next day and milk the next day, and then a mixture of all of them on the last day, good for you. As long as you can increase your service, etc., etc. But otherwise, what's the meaning of it? I'm not going to get into it because some devotees, of course, do adhere to it. I'm not saying it's, who am I? But I just say your question was what did Prabhupada say? And I don't know anything that Prabhupada ever said about it in terms of what you're referring to. It's related to whatever, performing some kind of rut at the end, which is supposed to be, even whatever, fulfilling all the Chaturmas, but we hardly follow Chaturmas. Come on. And what are we doing? Fasting from Urd Dal. What is that? Probably don't even know what Urd Dal is if you're from the Western world. Don't even know whether they're eating it or not. Usually poppadoms have Urd Dal in them. I probably broke it the other day. I forgot they cooked poppadoms. I probably broke it. Not all, but many poppadoms have Urd Dal in. The idli dosha usually has Urd Dal in it. Sometimes you cook Urd Dal in terms of instead of mung dal, but very rarely. You may have kachoras, maybe on Prabhupada's disappearance day, Radha Ballabha kachoras, for instance, have Urd Dal inside. but Prabhupada never made an issue of it. He may have mentioned it once about, following these things in Chaturmas, but he didn't make a big issue. If you can do, we did do that, by the way. We did follow in the 70s those 4 restrictions, which wasn't so easy because the often not eating green leafy vegetables in the first month happens to be the months in England when those green leafy vegetables are at the max. They don't grow most of the year. That happens to be the month when they come out in full blossom. So it was a bit kind of like, say, impractical in some ways. But we did it nonetheless. And we didn't drink milk, and we didn't take yogurt during the next 2 months, and we didn't take urd dal in the 4th month. But it didn't really make much difference. And we had ways around it. I remember during the milk fast, particularly, you just have to put a couple of grains of suji or semolina in there. It's no longer milk. It becomes milk pudding. It becomes semolina pudding. It doesn't mean anything. But whatever. It's there mainly, Father says, it's there mainly for those who are, to help restrict those who are indulging in sense gratification. Devotees take advantage wherever they can. Some devotees do the real Chaturmas, the real Kartik, the real Chaturvrat, or the real Kartik Vrat. They just eat khichdi off the floor. There are a few devotees who do that, but again, Prabhupada didn't really recommend it. As I said, once or twice with senior devotees. Yes, if you want to do it, this is what you do. When he was asked, Gurudas, I think, asked in the Radha Damodar temple in 72, Srila Prabhupada, what is the Kartik Vrat? What is this Vrata that we're supposed to do? And Prabhupada said, Kartik Vrat means no eating, no sleeping for the whole month. And chanting constantly. That is a Vrata. But you cannot do it. Shock. Yes, no eating, no sleeping at all. Obviously, we can't, even if we wanted to, we can't do that. It's not practical. So Prabhupada never really did. Basic thing. Basic. Chanting, Damodar Ashtakam, offering the lamp daily. And if you can increase your hearing and chanting, you should do. But not at the expense of everything else. Hare Krishna. Next one. When devotees, what happened? I was reading something, it disappeared off the screen. When devotees Jaya and Vijay became demons, killed, did the devotees whom they attacked kill pain? Also did Jaya and Vijay incur bad karma for hurting the devotees to assist him with his pastime? Wow, what a phenomenal question. Thank you. Jaya and Vijay became demons. Well, first of all, this is all arranged by the Lord, as you probably know. Their fall down is not because, it appears to be because they mistreated the 4 Kumaras, but it's the will of the Lord, it's the Lord's arrangement, and to fulfill the Lord's plans. So they're acting like in a drama. Now, in a drama, do you incur, if you were playing the part of a rogue in a drama and you kill someone in the drama, do you incur sinful reactions? You incur reactions because it's material, but you're not held responsible for the apparent killing, which doesn't even happen in reality, of that other player in the drama. So they're actually players in the drama, teaching a lesson, of course. If we try to imitate, then certainly we would accept it. They do not like that. It's not like that at all. They're taking birth as demons with the arrangement of the Lord, and their further playing of demons was the arrangement of the Lord. And their further appearance as Jaya, as Jagaya Madhaya and Chaitanya Leela is another thing. All part of the process of delivering the conditioned souls and the Lord relishing his pastime. So all that parts to play. Now, as far as them becoming demons, they didn't really become demons. They expanded. This is explained by Vishwanath. I think Vishwanath Chakravarti explains it in his commentary on this. I believe it's one of the commentaries explains that they expand them. Associates of the Lord Jai and Vijay have the capacity, when the Lord expands, they're not ordinary jivas. They also expand along with the Lord when his pastime increases to take various roles in different pastimes. I don't know all the different pastimes and what roles they take, but in many cases it's mentioned, not many, some it's mentioned. So they, in the role of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, have a particular role to play as the of animosity towards the Lord. It's one of the indirect rasas. So, but their real rasa is one of service, reverential service. They do not, by the way, Mishnah said, they do not suddenly leave their post in Vaikuntha. They're still there. They simply expand into this world as demons, and when that's finished, they just merge back into their eternal role, which is already going on. This applies in many, many cases, which we're not going to get into. It's not that they become or they are no longer Jai and Vijay. They expand for the Lord's pleasure in different ways, in his different pastimes, when necessary. So where's the question of karmic reaction? They're not jivas. Srila Prabhupada writes, it is a mistaken idea to think that Jai and Vijay, we use the word fall down for the sake of understanding for sure, millennium. It is not a fact. Prabhupada said in other millenniums, they are actually demons. Now, those are Prabhupada's words. Take it as you like. So that would be a different issue. Of course, to be killed by the Lord, one is immediately relieved of all sinful reaction. So from another angle, where is the sinful reaction? Is relieved by them being killed by the hand or whatever it is, the arrow of the Lord, the nails of the Lord. So there is no sinful reaction for them as such. They're already, you could say, you would normally say we cannot imagine, for instance, what Ravana was going through in those last weeks or months before the battle, or what Kamsa was going through the night before his demise, even before that, the fear which was involved. But yeah, that's all part of the pastimes, all part of the pastime, to show us, to help us to come to our senses a little bit. Next one. When the devotees, Hare Krishna. Just a basic question. What can we do every day to remain absorbed 24/7 in pleasing Srila Prabhupada and center our lives around his service? Also, what should we do to please Srila Prabhupada the most? Well, try to hear Srila Prabhupada. Try to hear him every day. Listen to a lecture a day, if you can, of Srila Prabhupada. He'll give you inspiration. And how we keep 24/7. Well, association of devotees, temples are there for that purpose, 24/7. You can't, it's not so easy in the home. Try to make the home a temple as much as we can. And pray, and try to hear Prabhupada every day. It will give you that strength and inspiration not to waste your time, but to use our time more beneficially in Krishna consciousness. How should we please Prabhupada the most? Prabhupada said the most in many, many ways. Pleasing in the most is when we awaken the love of God, when our devotion is unalloyed, pure. So when we're sincerely endeavoring in that direction, that pleases Prabhupada the most. When we're sincerely making an effort to develop or cultivate pure devotional service, through hearing, chanting, remembering, and so on. That pleases. It's not the results, like a little child, you encourage a little child, well done, clap, 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 is part of it, but that's not the real thing. That's just a part of waking up or the part of maturing. It goes on, that's okay, but that's not like that pleases Prabhupada the most. I did this, I did that. Well, Prabhupada has said that many times, like you would have said that to your children many times, but ultimately they're going to grow up, and that won't be the case in a few years' time. But all these various activities to be absorbed, as you've said, 24 hours a day, is indeed pleasing to the spiritual master. But that absorption in devotional practices is meant to awaken our dormant love, unalloyed love for Krishna. And when the pure devotee sees that love is developing in the heart, now he's pleased. You can sing the Gurvastakam prayers, pleased when you offer prasad, he's pleased when you worship the deity properly, he's pleased when you go on Sankirtan, he's pleased by this and that, no doubt. But ultimately, it's to awaken our eternal, constitutional, loving relationship with the Lord, the intimate relationship with Him. He wants that to awaken, because that is what pleases Krishna. What pleases the pure devotee is ultimately what pleases Krishna. And what pleases Krishna is what pleases Radharani. And Radharani wants all of Krishna's parts and parcels to be engaged in an intimate, loving service to her beloved, so that Krishna's pleasure will increase. So that's the real thing. But at that level, we're just trying to dedicate ourselves to trying to satisfy the pure devotee of the Lord, whatever form it may take. It's not that one is more pleasing to the other. It depends on the pure devotee and the individual jiva, and how much you're surrendering that service. That is what pleases, not the service itself, the activity itself, but the consciousness in which we are working, in which we're performing our activity. How surrendered are we? Next one. How to bring my daughter back to her chanting. She is young, 20 years old, Brahmin initiated in 2 years, but for pray for stalking. What is that? I don't know. The stalking by a devotee. Stalking? Can you qualify that word? I don't know what that means. Stalking by a devotee, and then gossiping and politics, and she doesn't want to associate with devotees and don't want to hear the philosophy. What does stalking mean, please? Can you? Chaste. Chaste? Chaste. Pray for. Still don't really understand what it means anyway. Pray for being chased by devotees? Or is that what you mean? Or she's being chased by a devotee? Is that what it means? Anyway, whatever. I can see that she's just developed a somewhat distance mood for various reasons. There's always a reason for this, both from the external and internal perspective. Why one would distance oneself from devotees. From the devotee's point of view, if we're going to designate someone devotee, but we just have to give him some kind of designation there. From the devotee's point of view, we would say, what is it that has caused this? We wouldn't say, you must come back. There's a reason why she's chosen what she's chosen. We have to see what the reason is. If you can't find out the reason, there may be other reasons. The other reasons, maybe it's just what she has to go through. And you can analyze what she's done or not done, which may have been directly the cause, but ultimately it's something which she may have to go through. But from our point of view, we have to see what did we do that caused her to feel such an animosity or distance from devotees, and whatever it may be. It may be, if I get it right, there's a devotee who's been chasing her and he doesn't like it, and this is causing her problems. So, but there's probably more to it than that. So we'd always try to see that. And frankly speaking, I'm sure there are many things which we have to look back at that we see ourselves as the cause of this somehow or another. And of course, we're not the ultimate cause either, but this is how a devotee feels. I've offended them, I've misbehaved, I've whatever it is, I've shown a bad example, something. So how do you rectify that? Even materially, when your kid goes away, there's a reason for it. And there may be several reasons, but from our point of view, we would naturally analyze, what did I do that made them feel like this? So negative towards hearing and chanting, and even though they're initiated, they become negative. What can I do to try to, say, change that or try to evoke that? It usually takes time. Something has to change. You can't expect the other person. I don't know if this is an example or not. It's not really, but it might be related. I remember when I tried to become a devotee, my parents were really quite negative, and I tried to preach to them. It became even more negative. When I stopped preaching to them, and I started to say, I'm really indebted to you, Mom and Dad. I really apologize for any offenses I ever committed to you. I really thank you for, allowing me to do what my heart dictates. I know it's not easy for you. I took a completely different approach. The whole relationship completely changed. So it may not be that, but something is there in the relationship. Something is there in the relationship. And you can't expect the other person to change. We got to look, and we have to make the change. What it is, I don't know. You have to ask. This is a detail when it gets down to it, some detail that we have to search our hearts. and see what is it. Maybe we force them against their will. That's a common one which turns people away. And then, especially when they see we're not doing it ourselves, that convinces them that this is nonsense. I mean, so that far gone. There may be many reasons, many, but we have to see what is it. Anyway, we'll go on. Gossiping and politics. I mean, what else are you going to do other than glorify Krishna? You're going to end up gossiping and politicking for sure. What else is there to do? You either gossip and politic or you glorify Krishna. You got not much in between. And actually, you won't want to, because devotees are supposed to be glorifying Krishna. So if you don't feel attracted to that, why would you want to associate with devotees? You've got to make it attractive. Bless her. Well, what does that mean? But we're not magicians, but we can certainly always pray for the welfare of others. You can read the Bhagavatam verses of Prahlad Maharaj in the 5th canto, praying for the welfare of others. Pray for it. But you have to read both. We still got dirt in our heart. What can we do? We can pray for others, but we also have to purify our own hearts too. And certainly we can pray. Something we've done is we have to make the change. We need that to realize that we need to make a change and not just say it. The realization has to be there in our own hearts. Did the devotees whom the demons attacked in Lord Krishna's pastimes, okay, we've extended it now to the devotees, feel pain, or are the devotees also just pretending to feel pain? Well, it's not so much pretending, you actually feel it. It's like in a drama, if someone punches you, certainly you feel the pain. Someone knocks you off the stage. I got knocked off the stage once. I certainly felt the pain, although it wasn't quite a normal situation, part of the drama. Do they feel the pain? Are they playing a role? One feels pain. Is there anything? There's pain in the spiritual realm. It's a different, you say, it's not a bodily, physical pain, but there's pain. Pain is pain. And there are different kinds of pains which have different results. In the material world, pain is just misery in most cases. Sometimes people undergo pain for their country, and they're willing to do it. And that pain is a kind of pleasure. Sometimes one undergoes pain for one's kid, to protect one's child, the mother. That pain is her pleasure. She's certainly feeling the pain, but because of her intense attachment to the child, that pain is a kind of a pleasure. It doesn't look like it, but it is. She's simply thinking of the welfare of her child. So the devotee, in pleasure or pain, turns to Krishna. May not be aware that Hiranyakashipu is playing a role. That may not be the case, but they're actually experiencing the wrath of Hiranyakashipu or Ravana, wherever it may be. But and there may seem to be great pain here, but their pain suddenly turns them to Krishna more and more and more. If they're actually to the degree that they're devotees. So whatever degree that one has to burn out one's, let's say, misunderstandings, like the Rasa Lila. There were certain devotees who were not allowed in. They still had some false identity of being mothers or wives or whatever it is, sisters, this and that. And they weren't allowed. They were held back by their attachments. But then the burning and sensation, it's called anutapa within the heart, burned away. They became more and more eager to enter the Rasa Lila, and their attachments, it was very painful for them. Their attachments to their family were just burned to shreds. That's what it means when they gave up their body. It meant they gave up their false identities completely, and they became eligible to enter into the Lila later on. So the whole process is to burn up any remaining, the pain burns up, that burning pain burns up any attachment. And I bet you've had that experience. I remember sometimes when we get into trouble and you're feeling in such stress and anxiety and pain maybe. I'll never do that again. Why did I do that? I know I won't do it again. You get this feeling. Maybe the child in the womb sometimes feels like that. I'll never, ever disobey you again, my Lord, and end up like this. Sometimes that pain is required in order to burn up any remnants. So there'll be different devotees. You can't black and white everybody. Everyone's different. Many different shades and different experiences one has to go through in order to become to develop a total distaste with everything about trying to enjoy this material. You know, when you're really in a painful condition, sick or whatever, you often get this feeling, how horrible this material world is. I never want to go there again. Whereas when you get healthy again, you sort of forget it after a while. You get stuck again, but you get these realizations that pain can often be not only purifying us, if there's any karma, purifying us, helping us to turn to Krishna and becoming feeling the distaste for material existence. That has many reasons that may be there. Okay, well, I think that's it. Is that it? I think so. Well, they're really lovely. Thank you so much, everybody. And we wish you whatever left of Kartik Vrata, wonderful months. And then we have the Prabhupada Book Marathon coming up shortly afterwards, maybe a few weeks after that. Kartik's early this year, very early. Prepare yourself for this glorious yajna, the Kartik, the months, and then prepare yourself for the glorious yajna of Prabhupada's Book Marathon. If you can't directly take part in it, you can help if you want. I'm still trying to go out. I don't know how much I'll be able to do this year. Last year I was able to go out most days. Try to distribute a few books in a language I don't even speak. I'm trying to convince people to take a book or two. Not much good at it, but we try. And mainly to try to encourage other devotees to do it too. A great yajna, a great sacrifice. This is the Yuga Dharma yajna. Chant the holy name and distribute Krishna consciousness to others. You can send books to people, you can sponsor books, you can help whatever way you can. Prepare prasadam for those who go out on book distribution yourself, or maybe you have friends, you can give them a gift for Christmas or birthday or whatever's taking place. Different ways we can disseminate this knowledge. And please, Prabhupada, for sure, he's very happy when he sees his Lord's glorious bed. One time Prabhupada said, the sure sign, and he said it 3 times, of love, one who loves Krishna. He said it 3 times. It was in New Vrindavan. He said, is that one wants to see the Lord's glory spread all over the world. So when the Prabhupada is so happy when he sees Krishna's glory spread all over the world. So this is one opportunity. There's many to participate in this spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. Distribute his books and help others, encourage others, support others who are doing it. If you want to help us with our book marathon here in France, you can also, I don't know, suggest something. I don't want to suggest the financial aspect, and you can do that if you want. But somewhere or another, I don't know what you can do. If you're living in France, well, automatically you have a great chance. I don't know, if you have French people in your part of the world, you could order French books or something. Distribute French gifts for them during this period. I don't know, think of something. If you want to give a donation to sponsor, you're welcome. Let me know. So we can distribute books at slightly, maybe more books at a slightly cheaper price than usual, because it's not always so easy to get a lot of money out of people on the street these days. They don't have cash, they only have cards. We do that also, of course, we do have card machines, obviously. But still, sometimes it's not always so easy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Kartik Damodar Mas ki jai, Shri Shri Krishna Param ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Harinama Sankirtanam ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, oh glorious to Srila Prabhupada, Haribo. Oh, Premanandi, oh, glorious to all the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to all the unassembled devotees. Oh, glorious to all the devotees. Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Ji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for the lecture.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare
Hare Krishna.